Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. It is the player ratings. Aston Villa 1, Everton 2 in the Carabao Cup third round last night. Everton progress into the next round of the competition where we will face Burnley at Goodison Park after another absolutely fantastic performance, another absolutely fantastic win, and our second away win on the bounce. I still can't quite believe it. Firstly, I want to apologise that this video wasn't up last night by the time I'd put the instant match reaction up, and we'd obviously reacted to the news of the fourth round draw. It was a little bit late. I was getting a little bit tired, and by the time it had taken me to film this video, upload it, it just meant that I'd have woken up this morning incredibly groggy. So I thought, you know what, we'll save it until tomorrow morning. It gives people a little bit of a chance to watch the instant match reaction and then come back this morning and watch the player ratings. It is, of course, the player ratings. Aston Villa 1, Everton 2. What I also want to say before I get into this is this item of clothing right here is probably the best item of clothing I own. If you don't know what it is, it's like a hoodie, but it's like a fluffy sort of fleeced hoodie, and it is absolutely unbelievable for the winter, and it's absolutely unbelievable for times like this where randomly it could be 750 degrees outside, or sometimes it's minus 56, and on those days where it's a little bit cold, this is an absolutely fantastic item of clothing. I'm not sponsored by Everton, I'm not sponsored by Everton Shop. I just thought people would look at that and go, what's that he's got on there? So I thought I'd just talk about it for a second. Anyway, this is the player ratings. As I said, we did do the instant match reaction yesterday. Big thanks to everybody who gave that a little watch and commented and shared and all that sort of stuff. Really do appreciate it. We're going to get into the player ratings, the show where we give every player a rating between 1 and 10 based upon their performance last night. 1 obviously being absolutely terrible and 10 being absolutely fantastic. Like I said before, another absolutely brilliant win by Sean Dyche's Everton side. 2 away wins in a week. No matter how many times you say that over to yourself over the course of the next 24 hours, you still will not quite be able to comprehend the fact that Everton have won 2 away games in the space of 5 days. Not even a week, 2 away games in 5 days. And not even just 2 away games against sides that are, notable. I was going to say that sides that are, notorious for their brilliant home form, and sides that ultimately are teams that a lot of people give a lot of credit to in the Premier Leagues. And, Aston Villa are a side that have had a fantastic last 12 months under Unai Emery, obviously finishing in the European competition, the Conference League, and Brentford also have had a lot of praise recently, and rightly so. They're a fantastic football club, ran brilliantly, and Everton have managed to turn up to both of those grounds and comfortably win the game of football, which is just absolutely amazing to be able to say, and absolutely amazing to be able to watch, isn't it? If we can go and beat Luton on Saturday, which we absolutely should, then it will have been some week to be an Evertonian. I think we can all agree on that one. Anyway, let's get straight into the player ratings then. We've done our instant match reaction. If you want to go and check that out, it is up on the channel now, so please do so. Let's just jump straight into it. Jordan Pickford, I'm going to give Jordan a 7. I don't think he had an awful lot to do in the game. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think Aston Villa were very poor last night, and I said that about Brentford, and I don't want to sort of take anything away from Sean Dyche and from Everton yesterday, because it was a fantastic performance and it was a fantastic win, but I do think it has to be said that, the opposition and how the opposition performed, and I think Aston Villa were incredibly poor yesterday. The commentators were saying it could possibly be their worst performance under Unai Emery, and look, I don't know, I don't watch Aston Villa every week, but what I know is, when we played them 4 or 5 weeks ago in the Premier League at Villa Park, they put in a much better performance than the one that they did last night. Now, as I said last night, a large amount of credit has to go to Everton and has to go to Sean Dyche for ultimately stopping them from being able to play in the way that they did a few months ago in the Premier League. I think Sean Dyche's decision to go with a 5 at the back really nullified Aston Villa's threat going forward, and we did similar to Brentford. So as much as we can sit here and say the opposition teams weren't very good, we've played 2 really good sides there who have got fantastic home records, and we've turned up and we've beat them, and credit has to be given to Everton for that. Having said that, Jordan didn't have a lot to do yesterday. I don't blame him for the goal whatsoever. It's completely unlucky. It takes a couple of deflections. I think the last one being off of Michael Keane, and ends up in the back of the net. He made a couple of good saves outside of that. A couple of good saves from Moussa Diaby. A couple of good saves whilst Aston Villa were on the attack as well. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 7. Again, the saves that he made are ones that you would expect him to make, but it's not his fault that he ultimately didn't have an awful lot to do. I don't even think he had to dive once in that first half. He probably come off at the end of that first half and without a mark of mud on his kit. But yeah, he was there when we needed him to be there, and ultimately, he was part of a team that have just won a really, really important game for us, so he can get a 7. Jared Branthwaite then, I'm going to give Jared a 7.5. Again, similar to Jordan, not an awful lot to do throughout the game, not an awful lot to do in the first half specifically. Second half a little bit more. I think once Aston Villa made a couple of changes and once obviously they'd scored their goal, it was a little bit of a nervy last sort of 10 to 15 minutes, so the defence were called into action at that point. But still, Jared, again, as I've said for the last couple of weeks, he holds himself really, really well. He holds himself like a true professional, like almost like somebody that has played in the Premier League for years and years and years and years. And he isn't, of course. He's a young lad who, this is his first full season in the Premier League. I know he's played Premier League games before, but he portrays himself and he holds himself like somebody that, as I said, is used to this league and is used to being around and is experienced enough to be able to deal with certain situations, and I think he was absolutely phenomenal again yesterday. Okay, he didn't have an awful lot to do, but the bits he had to do, he done so well. He's so calm, he's so cool, he's so collected, and one big compliment I can give to Jared Branthwaite, and I think it's probably the biggest compliment you can give to an Everton defender, is I don't worry when he's on the ball. I don't worry when he's got to jump for a header. I don't worry when he's one-on-one with an attacker. I don't worry when he's got the ball at his feet. I trust in his ability, and I'm confident that he will make the right decision, and that hasn't been said a lot about Everton centre-backs over the years. So, yeah, really good performance. Not an awful lot to do. I'll give him a 7.5. Tarky next to him, going to give him a 7. Again, similarly to Jared, not a lot to do. I think Tarky had a couple of moments that were a little bit hairy in the game, but nothing too major, just a couple of decisions he made that were probably not the best decision in that moment. But generally, as I said, a really, really solid performance. I was really impressed with the defence yesterday. Not particularly because they had an awful lot to do, but it's difficult in those games sometimes when the opposition team isn't really in it and you're walking around for 60-70 minutes with not a lot to do, and then in that last 20 minutes when they get a bit of confidence and they come into it, it's really difficult to keep up those concentration levels. That's often where mistakes are made. That's often where teams get back into games, because the defence have become so not complacent, but almost they've settled into not having to do much in the game, and then the last 10 minutes when they're tired and when it's getting to the end and the opposition team all of a sudden come into it, that's when you're a little bit susceptible to conceding goals or making mistakes. But I thought our backline was fantastic in that moment yesterday when Aston Villa did put a little bit of pressure on, and when they did get at us and when they did try and push us, I thought we handled it really, really well, and James Tarkowski was a part of that. So yeah, he's getting a 7. Michael Keane next to him. Listen, this will probably upset a few people because of who Michael Keane is, and ultimately because I think we're all of the understanding that he shouldn't really be anywhere near the Everton first team. But I'm going to give him a 7 as well. Again, similarly to James Tarkowski, there were a couple of moments where I think it was a little bit hairy. A couple of moments where I was thinking, he's got away with one there slightly. He got away with one just before they scored their goal, I think, where he gave the ball away in a really silly area, and I think Moussa Diaby ended up having a shot and it was saved well by Jordan Pickford. But generally, throughout the game, I'm going to give him a 7. Again, same goes with the others. Didn't have a lot to do, and okay, maybe he wasn't as comfortable when he did have things to do. Maybe he wasn't as confident when he was called into action, but ultimately that's to be expected from a player that is being taken out the team and effectively told you're not good enough. Now, whether or not Michael Keane gets any proper game time in the coming weeks, we'll wait and see. Ultimately we've just gone and beaten a really, really good side away from home there with him in the team, so who knows, the manager might look at Luton on Saturday and think, you know what, we're going to go with the same starting 11, or we're going to go with the same back line. Who knows, we'll wait and see. But yeah, like I said, I think in the moments where he was called into action, he didn't particularly do anything wrong other than that mistake that nearly led to a goal, but he didn't look as comfortable on the ball. But I'm not going to drop him down majorly for that, because he still stayed strong. He was still a couple of moments where he pushed himself out and he won the ball back and he intercepted it well. So yeah, I think he deserves a 7. Vitaly Mykolenko then at left wing back. Come off at half time, I think. I'm gonna give him a 6.5. Not particularly on the basis because I thought he was poor, just because obviously he come off a lot earlier than anybody else. But yeah, again, I thought he was relatively solid. It's always difficult to judge a back line based on one half of football, especially in this situation when the opposition team haven't particularly been involved in said half of football. Obviously, Miko ended up coming off, I think, either at half time or just after half time. I can't remember, because as we had the conversation yesterday, the broadcasting people in this country, or the broadcasting companies in this country, are absolute gobshites. But anyway, we'll move on from that. But yeah, again, not a massive amount to do in that first half. A couple of bits of one-on-one defending that he had to do down that, Aston Villa's right-hand side, and he did it well. He was comfortable with it. But generally, again, a solid performance. One that, nothing to sort of blow your skirt up or to scream and shout about, but he done what he needed to do, and he done it well. And obviously, he come off for Ashley Young, and then Ashley come on and done a decent job there as well. So, yeah, I'm going to give him a 6.5. Nathan Patterson on the other side. You know what? I'm actually going to give Nathan Patterson an 8. I think this was Nathan Patterson's best performance in an Everton shirt. I really, really do. I thought he was brilliant throughout. Getting forward, he looked much more comfortable than what he usually does. Maybe he's only comfortable getting forward in that sort of 5 at the back formation, in that sort of 5 at the back defence. But he looked much more comfortable higher up the pitch last night than he has done when he's got higher up the pitch in maybe any of the games I've seen him play for Everton Football Club. Usually he gets high up the pitch and he starts to panic and he starts to worry, and he doesn't make the right decision, or he cuts back, or he looks like he's about to get a nosebleed because he's that far up. Yesterday he looked so comfortable, he looked so calm, he looked like he was an attacking fullback. He looked like somebody that his game is based upon attacking, and we all know by watching Nathan Patterson every week that's not necessarily the case. So yeah, I thought he was really well. His general play was really well. He seemed like he was playing with confidence, and it would be really, really difficult for Sean Dyche to take him out of this team on Saturday, because like I said, I thought he was absolutely excellent. So yeah, he's getting an 8. James Garner then scored his first Everton goal. I'm going to give him an 8.5. I think he was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. In fact, no, I'm going to give him a 9. His goal boosts him up slightly based upon the score that I'm going to give Amadou Onana. But yeah, I thought he was fantastic. Again, the goal is really, really well taken. It's an unbelievable ball by Amadou Onana, and it's a fantastic take by James Garner. But yeah, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. His general play, he was breaking the play up, he was moving it round well, his passing was spot on, his movement was spot on, he was playing people into dangerous areas in order to try and get opportunities off. I think he's had 2 of the best games he's had in an Everton shirt over the last 5 days, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic in that 2-man midfield yesterday. I thought he was really suited to that, and like I said, his goal is an absolute beauty as well. Next to him then, Amadou Onana. I'm going to give Amadou an 8.5 as well. That is the type of performance I want to see from Amadou Onana. We've spoken a lot in the last couple of weeks and months about Amadou Onana and about his performances being, slightly, I don't want to say below par, but just maybe slightly leaving a bit to be desired, shall we say. We all know what Amadou Onana is. He's a 6'5" central midfielder. He's got all of the traits and all of the attributes to go on to be a top midfielder in the Premier League, but he just doesn't show it often enough. He just doesn't show it week in, week out. He just doesn't show that quality. Well, yesterday, and I'm not just saying this because we won, and I'm not just saying this because I've said this about a couple of players, but yesterday genuinely was Amadou Onana's best performance in an Everton shirt, without a shadow of a doubt. He was absolutely phenomenal from the first minute to the last minute. The assist for James Garner's goal is just an absolute beauty. It's an absolute beauty. He takes it so well. He get the ball's bobbling around a bit. He gets control of it, he takes it down, and it's an unbelievable pass inside. But not only that, his general play throughout the course of the whole game was fantastic as well. His movement, his tackling, and putting himself about, and he come off the pitch looking absolutely shattered. absolutely shattered, when he was substituted for Abdoulaye Doucouré, and that's what you want to see. That's what you want to see from Amadou Onana. That's what we should see every single week. We should see him coming off the pitch with nothing else to give because he's given it all. And like I said, although some people might say, oh, he wasn't that good, Cam, he was all right, but I just think that I want to see that Amadou Onana performance every single week. I don't want to see him waltzing around, not really getting involved. I want to see that because yesterday he was involved in everything positive that we did. Amadou Onana was involved in, and that's what we want to see every week. So yeah, he's getting an 8.5. Danjuma, gonna give him a 7. Again, not as involved as some of the other players. Thought he worked hard. Thought he put himself about. Thought he battled. Thought when he had to be called upon in moments up front, he got a shot away, or he got a pass away, or he done well to control the ball. As I said, again, not massively involved in the overall play. Not massively involved in the outcome of the game, but he worked hard. He put himself about, and he didn't look out of place. It wasn't like you were watching him going, oh, he's at the stinker today. He formed part of a really, really good team performance. Individually, he mightn't have been fantastic, but I think his work rate and his desire and his determination was really important to yesterday's win. So yeah, Jack Harrison then making his Everton debut. I'm going to give him an 8. I thought he was, again, similarly to Danjuma, not massively involved in the game, but he was definitely more involved than what Danjuma was. He played a brilliant ball into Dominic Calvert-Lewin at one point in the first half at 1-0 up, which would have taken us to 2-0 up and would have almost certainly ended the game there. It was an unbelievable, little bit similar to Amadou Onana's, really. It was sort of a switch cross pass into Dom, and Dom's shot ultimately was saved by Robin Olsen, but it was an absolutely fantastic ball, and I thought as debuts go, it was a fantastic debut as well. He put himself about, he battled, he put a couple of really, really good crosses into the box, and he is somebody that I cannot wait to see when he is fully fit. Hopefully we see him again on Saturday against Luton, but yeah, he's somebody that you just know has got more to give. You just know, that yesterday is just a taster of what we can expect to see from Jack Harrison going forward, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I really did. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Dom's going to get I'm going to give Dom an 8.5 as well. Obviously, he got his goal, really, really well taken goal, brilliantly created for himself as well, knocked it past the defender on the halfway line and ran all the way and managed to slot it past the goalkeeper. Should he have had more? Probably. Maybe he should have had another goal in the first half, as I said, from that ball from Jack Harrison, but again, maybe that's just being a little bit petty. Ultimately, he's up there to score goals, and his record in the Carabao Cup is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. But look, ultimately he's up there to score goals, and that's what he did. He put the ball in the back of the net, and it was a fantastic finish, and I think he worked hard, he battled, he put himself about, and I think he deserves a massive amount of credit for that. Let's get on to the subs then. Dwight McNeil, I'm going to give Dwight McNeil a 7. Thought he come on, thought he worked hard, thought he put himself about. Defensively, worked really hard in that last 10 minutes as well. I think Dwight McNeil was pivotal in that final sort of 10-15 minutes of the game when, Villa were starting to get a bit of confidence, and Villa were starting to get back on top, and Villa, they'd scored their goal and they were trying to push for an equaliser. I think Dwight McNeil's work rate and effort in that moment was absolutely fantastic. Beto then, I'm going to give Beto a 6.5. I think he worked hard. Come on, put himself about. Had a couple of half opportunities, couple that were ruled offside as well, tight ones that were ruled offside, that had they have not been offside, either likely got a one-on-one on goal and maybe scored. But yeah, I thought he'd come on, and ultimately he done what he was expected to do when he come on the pitch, wasn't he? He was expected to put himself about. He was expected to make a nuisance of himself. It was expected to, to ultimately give the defender something to think about after just having to deal with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He was expected to, to cause disruption. And although he didn't do much with the ball or on the ball, he definitely caused disruption in there. So yeah, again, he done what he was expected. Abdoulaye Doucouré, going to give him a 6.5 as well. Come on, put himself about, ran round, worked hard, battled, and yeah. Not massively involved in the game, of course, but didn't do anything wrong, didn't make a mistake or stand out for any negative reason. So yeah, 6.5 as well. Ashley Young, gonna give him a 7. Thought he was very professional in that second half. He come on and he added that experience. He added that You know, he added that know-how, he added that awareness to be able to see out a game, you know, away from home when you're winning 2-0, even when it was the last 10 minutes when Villa had scored a goal and, you know, they got back into it. I think his experience and his wherewithal was what we needed to just see us through, leadership to just see us through to win that game. So, yeah. And then Garner, I'm going to give him a 6.5 as well. I can't really remember him doing an awful lot, but we also didn't get any worse when he come on, so that means he's come on and he's slotted in really, really well. So there you go. That is the player ratings. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you haven't checked out the instant match reaction, please do so. We will be back with the game review to this game at about 4 o'clock tonight, so don't forget to look out for that one. But yeah, until then, big thank you all for watching. Leave a like if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.